See if the stream goes and doesn't fail on me.
All right, testing 1, 2. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Sweet.
These headphones sucks though. I mean, they're working. I don't. It's nothing to do with you. I'm just using crappy headphones. Apparently. Okay.
Fair enough.
Can anybody log into YouTube and check the audio is working? Of course, there's going to be a delay, but I just want to make sure everybody's audio is broadcasting.
I'll check right now.
There's just been too many instances where like my audio is working and then everybody else in the chat is not working, or vice versa. Thankfully, I'm just doing a one camera setup, so I think I usually have less complications like this. It's when I try to set up like a second camera, then everything goes to shit. Oh, I need to charge a tablet because if not, how the hell am I supposed to view the YouTube stuff? Right? Oh no, I got my phone. That's right. I can use my phone.
Ooh. Ooh.
Almost forgot. Yeah, I forgot. I'm not using my phone to stream. I could have checked my own broadcast. If not, how the hell am I supposed to view the YouTube stuff? Right? Oh no, that's right.
Live.
Maybe need to.
Yeah, I
This
forgot.
one?
I'm not using my
Okay,
phone
yeah.
to stream. I could have checked my. Yeah, I forgot. I'm not using my phone.
Yeah, audio seems good. Okay, yeah. Yeah, testing. I tested it out. Audio's coming through just fine.
Okay, sweet. I forgot you were checking it, and I was hearing you checking the audio, and I was like, oh crap, what is all that echoing? But I
No.
forgot you were checking it, and then I was trying to check it at the same time. Anyways, oh, James Ridling's in the house.
You say James Ridling was in the house?
James Ridling.
The myth, the legend.
Yeah. And we've got a good following coming on so far.
Hello.
I'm a little tired, to be honest.
Come on, you
Been up
guys.
all
Come
day.
on. Get out of here.
Who else is on? Uh-oh.
Is that a Zelkos I see? Hey.
A wild Zelkos has appeared.
Yeah.
Everyone is doing shameless branding. I feel like I'm missing the boat. I'll be right back.
Well, tonight's stream, everybody who's joining us, I know, oh, well, sorry, still getting messages online too. But it's to discuss, I guess, especially having you guys on, people who are participants not only at Maryland Mayhem, but participants like in other venues. I just wanted to do like a reflection on the events, since it was such a big undertaking, being a three day event, doing three totally different things, and I just wanted to hear about your experiences. I mean, of course, I think overall myself, I only got to go one day, but from what I was hearing, it seemed like everybody was having fairly positive experiences. So, um, there's so many negative things in the hobby. I'm like, let's talk about the positives. So, I thought it would be cool just to chat, and if we get some viewers. If not, maybe some people will view it later. If not, we're just gonna have fun talking to each other, right?
I've never
So,
heard
Why not?
positive things in this hobby.
let's see. Man, I need better freaking headphones. I can barely hear you on this. I might direct connect if I find some. Um, So obviously the main Andrew didn't get to participate in the pro event. Um, and both of you guys did. I guess first let's just do some introductions uh, for Team Smog there and for Kale.
Zelkos is the team captain. Let's let him start out.
Oh, nice. Thanks. Appreciate it. Throw me in there. Can you guys hear me all right? Is everything good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. These are not going to this. So technically,
Ooh,
Oh,
now I
hold on,
can't
hold
hear
on.
you.
Put
As
those
soon as
headphones
you
back
took
on.
the
Put
headphones
those
off.
headphones. Your microphone is on those headphones, I imagine.
Yeah, it's probably. Hold on, give me. But yeah, let me just change this. And now, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can
Yep.
hear you when your headphones are on.
All right, perfect. All right, cool. So, I go by Zelkos online. A lot of people know me as Jason as well, which because that's my real name. So quick history. Team captain of Small. I did my latest. I was also part of. Well, I am a part of Nebula for the Foam Pro Tour. Sorry about the dogs. Also, I am a founding member of TNT Events, which is held in Clifton, New Jersey, where we basically do competitive on a monthly basis. We also do some night games, which is just kind of a relaxed kind of thing. Before that, I'm also part of. Before that, I was the treasurer of Home Fighters Los Angeles, and that's how I met a lot of the West Coast. And then when I had moved from LA to back to New Jersey, I started my whole venture here into competitive, and it's been a ride ever since.
Yes, it's funny you bring up just questions come up as you guys talk. That's uh, so it's cool that you guys traveled from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast. I mean this is far East Coast. I mean Maryland. It's not like you traveled like a few states. You guys went across the whole U.S. To come to our little Andrew and all the foam Maryland Foam Coalition to their I don't want to say it's a small event, but it's probably the first time that they taken such a big undertaking. And
Well,
from
I
from
just
the
want to
from
clarify one
go
thing,
ahead.
though. So, I am actually living in New Jersey right this moment.
Oh, okay.
Kale, Brett, Luke, they all came over from the West Coast, and I think Luke is up in Washington, Portland, Oregon, or one of the two, really close to Portland. I know that. And he definitely probably, if you wanted to go from like who was the furthest away, that was probably Luke. So Luke
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Outdoors, obviously. But listen, Kale and I both know that we want to support the community, and if somebody's throwing together a 3-day event, we're going to be there, and we're going to try to support it as best as we can, especially since we went through the Foam Pro Tour together, and I'm not just talking Kale and I'm talking about Magic Smoke, where we all like basically came together. So um, it was awesome. Just want to say the whole event was awesome. It was done very well. It was very well organized. Definitely the best competitive event that I've been to. Yeah.
That's really awesome to hear. And I'm glad that you like completely negated your sacrifice in travel. I'm just kidding. Everybody else,
It was a
everybody
whole
else,
three
kudos
hours.
to
It was a
you.
whole 3 hours.
Zelkos, you drove a little longer than I did because I had the DC traffic. And it takes like 2 hours to drive 30 minutes. Um, okay, I don't really want, I know just to say it out in the background, we can make comparisons to other events, but I just want to talk about just more like loose comparisons as far as like organization. Did you guys find that the Maryland group, I mean, for a first undertaking, I don't know if y'all have been to Rag Fest, I haven't, or some other big giant undertakings was that many participants. How did you guys think? the organization went and just hitting time frames. I mean, they had I don't want to say super stringent time frames. Sunday might have been a little more hectic than, HVZ. I guess that's a different type of undertaking, but pro is pro, and there's going to be stoppages and things like that. But yeah, I'm most interested to hear how things went on Sunday and just the overall scheduling and organization. I know you already said it was good, but have there been other events that you thought that it was run a little smoother? No, nothing against Maryland. To me, it was like their first big event was that many people. I thought that I only went the one day, and I thought it was great. So, but again, I
Did
don't have
Kale
as
get a
much to
chance to
compare
introduce
to.
himself already?
Who's that, Kale?
Yeah.
I don't think he
So
has. Oh, that's right.
yeah. So real quick, I'll just go through my introduction. So I haven't been in the hobby very long, but the hobby's kind of welcomed me with open arms. So around this time last year was the first time I set foot with SDNC, San Diego Nerf Club. Um, I wanted to compete in the Foam Pro Tour with pretty much no experience in the hobby except for, just whatever was store-bought. And SDNC welcomed me with open arms. By that time, Jason had already left for the East Coast, so I didn't get to meet him until much later. I went through the process of creating Nebula. I'm the captain of that team, and we went through a couple qualifiers. And on the later portion of the qualifiers, we recruited Jason to fill in our ranks for people who couldn't travel. So I've traveled. Mostly what I've spent my time doing is traveling for Nerf, which has been a unique experience. And then from there, after Bone Pro Tour's conclusion, and we found out about Maryland Mayhem, Nebula was not going to make it. That was pretty clear. However, in an interesting turn of events, Zelkos decided to make his own team, Team Smog, and he invited me to play with him on that team. And then it was kind of a funny event after the fact. Eli, which is the vice captain of Nebula, was actually also able to make it. So this team started to become half Nebula, even though that wasn't the original intention. It was pretty funny and stuff. But yeah, and that's pretty much where.
Did you guys
Very
get to
welcome.
practice much? Him being in Jersey?
We didn't practice at all.
Technically, no, but I actually flew out so there was a double weekend that was held in California in February, late February, and me, Brett, and Luke and Jed had actually played together that day. But Kale, Eli, and I. Well, actually, Kale and I have more experience playing together than Eli and I did at that point in time. Just because of what happened at the Foam Pro Tour. But we very much know each other's play styles. We talk to each other. We agree with a lot of the things that the plays that we make. And then, I do want to say that at least for this tournament, Jed came in handy as a coach, basically helping us out, seeing the things that we need to be on the field, which was very helpful. And yeah, but I think us as players, we know how to mesh well together. We are actually friends, believe it or not.
Yeah, and you guys have played competitive before, but it's just the fact that what kind of, cohesion would you have, from not practicing?
And Kale and I, we know each other's, and the big thing, and Kale can say it too. I know that we trust each other on the field, and I think that's a big thing.
I wanna apologize for digressing from the introductions. So I want to make sure that we introduce our special guest, Dart Sweep, who makes like the best YouTube videos. Who makes better YouTube videos to the music videos and the clips? Send them to me. I don't think anybody does. I really don't. I'm not just saying that, but you've got seen his videos. It makes you want to go out and play. But
Also, his
if y'all
turnaround
don't know
time
Dart Sweep, go to Dart Sweep on YouTube. if you're just trying to watch like the music videos of our Nerf hobby, man, that's it. That's the ticket. I mean, he does other videos too, but like yeah, your music montages are just they're perfect. Almost every single one. I don't have a favorite one, but some of the indoor ones that you've done recently are really good actually at the invitationals. I really like those a lot. But that's my
Thanks, man.
introduction of Dart Sweep, the king of basically Nerf music videos. You really are. Um, I'm just the guy that seems to be in the scene and talk to you guys, and I like to mod stuff and hang out. So
Looks like we got a Jangular in the comment section.
uh-oh,
Jangular
that's a
in
big
the
name.
Yeah,
house.
what's
Hey
up, my guy?
Jangular, I just turned my
Ah,
Never,
YouTube off.
never, Jang. Never. You would never miss it.
Jangular,
uh,
yeah, the
yeah.
Jangular wanted to know if he missed competitive talk. I mean, we're kind of it's kind of competitive talk, but for me, just getting it's all about the event that just happened, just to boost the support of like a reflection that maybe this can happen next year because I think a lot of people do want it to happen next year. So any positivity that we can add to it, it seemed like everybody had fun. I thought it'd just be a good idea, even if it's just a few people watching. But I mean, from the chatter online, I think a lot of people who didn't get to go are really kind of we're kind of pissed that they didn't go, or wasn't able to make plans to go.
Yeah.
Question for Andrew: are you going to be able to fit in play next year?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone who was able to make it out to Maryland Mayhem, whether it be the Maryland Foam Tournament, UMBC's HVZ Invitational, as well as the 11th Hour Blaster Battle. It's kind of like what you said. I have gone to a few large-scale events before. I haven't been to RAG, but you know, I went to End War and we did the DZP FPT qualifiers. And for me personally, what I enjoyed most was really getting to travel with friends, meet people, people that I've seen online or have correspondence before, like Kale. Also to get together with people that we've known before from doing like APOC, the Jersey guys like Zelkos and Jed. And you know, having a thing like FoamCon, you know, that kind of community is really what we kind of wanted to offer everyone an opportunity to have in the Maryland area, since we do have 3 PvP groups that play once a month on top of UMBC, who plays twice a week, who by now hopefully people understand they have a fantastic HVZ club. So yeah, for me, it was really about getting everyone together and get this community together. And we actually are very overwhelmed and very humbled by the community support we received from this, everywhere from Out of Darts and Al and Silver Fox, Foamdemic, Frontline Foam,
You guys just don't know
Toys on
how
the
cool
Side,
you
Blasters, the list goes on. I mean, it's pretty crazy because, again, this was suggested, I think, last year, sometime around August, that we kind of look at possibly doing something like this. So, you know, we worked really hard from that time up until the event itself to put something together for everyone that they could enjoy. And again, I really appreciate everyone coming out and making it out to the event. And we are definitely we have a million ideas of how we can improve, and we can hope we're hoping to do it again and provide that experience again. So once again, thank you everyone for coming. Yeah, so yes, I didn't get much of a chance to play this year. Obviously, I didn't compete in the pro tournament for obvious reasons. I kind of evolved into the MC role throughout the weekend, which worked out pretty well, I think. I hope everyone put up with my shenanigans and yelling throughout the weekend. But And then HVZ, we were helping, do some logistics with UMBC. And by the time I was done with that, the games had started, but it was okay because I got an opportunity to get some photos and videos, some stuff I wanted to get last year, but I didn't end up getting a chance to because I actually was like the third to last human to survive for some weird, odd reason. So it was nice to actually get a chance to get some photos and video content for this year. And then 11th hour, yeah, man. 11th hour is crazy. I feel like that was almost the definition of mayhem right there. It was like 150 people, I think, all on one field. So it was almost like reminded me of a mini Jarrett's Epic Blaster Battles, what it kind of reminded me of on the Maryland
probably
Nerf
way
Herder
more
field.
fun. I know we're not trying to put down other events, but yeah, it was way more fun.
No, yeah. It was great. I was just looking at the footage today. I got a pretty good one take of a couple of the game modes. I might just keep it in its entirety, just so people can kind of see what it was like. And I'll put the Dart Suite stamp on that. But yeah, it was fantastic. I didn't mind not having played. And again, this wasn't so much for us in the Maryland Foam Alliance as much as it was for everyone in the community. So I was just happy to be a part of organizing it, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully doing this again. I am in still recovery mode, so check back with me in a week. I'll let you know how I'm doing.
You're not a spring chicken
we
anymore,
are
buddy.
That's right. No.
So I do want to pay attention to the chat a little more. I suck at it on a lot of the other streams we've done, but since we've got some people, they already have some questions. So the first question is for Andrew. So they want to know your perspective on the event. If the event went pretty close to with what you expected, and how did it go, and what went better than expected, or what can be improved for the next event. That's a lot.
Yes. So thanks for your question.
Louis from HVZ Online.
Gotcha. Thank you for your question. So I don't think when we first started planning, we knew exactly what this was going to be. We knew that we had the support of UMBC and kind of their following for their invitational to kind of work off of. We did expect it to be a larger event than it was last year. I think last year they had around 150 people. And then we ended up having the 11th hour blaster battle the following Sunday, the next Sunday after the HVZ, but it ended up getting rained out. So half of the people ended up leaving. And luckily this year, the weather ended up cooperating for the most part. But yeah, I think the way it evolved, we were working closely with the UMBC team to begin with. And then the MDFA kind of took over the logistics of a lot of the, we did the website. Just Ben, who runs Southern Maryland House of Nerf, did a fantastic job of overhauling the website to include the Maryland Mayhem weekend section. And, we wanted to provide as much information as possible on the website and online via Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, YouTube, wherever we could, just to get that information out there. And yeah, I think just by turn of events, people were looking for something to do, and it ended up, working out. And we had a lot of people. I think 300, close to 400 people probably registered for the HVZ event. I saw the
number on the webpage. It was over 300.
Realistically, I want to say it was probably closer to 300 ended up attending or playing, give or take. And then for the pro tournament, we had about 150 players between spectators and vendors and players that attended that. And then for the 11th hour, we had about 200 people register for that. And then by our count, it was around 120, 150 that ended up registering actually day of. So it was a huge event. Like I was saying, we're three small local Nerf clubs, DMV Nerfers, Maryland Nerf Herders, and Southern Maryland House of Nerf. And I want to say Southern Maryland House of Nerf usually hosts on a good weekend, probably like maybe like 60. Yeah, I think we've topped out at like 100 at some point on
I
our
think the
good days.
biggest I
But
went
so
to
anywhere
there was
from
probably like 70 or so, which was a lot.
yeah.
That's a lot of
So
people.
and then both Maryland Nerf herders and DMV probably average maybe I know DMV is probably the smallest because we're the smallest venue, but we average about 30, I want to say, and same with Southern Maryland's probably around 35 to 40 on average in attendance. So those are kind of the numbers that we're used to. But that being said, I feel like over the years, collectively, we've learned to work together extremely well, cohesively. So we are able to run these like PvP events kind of in our sleep and have a really good system. We have a great admin team. So I want to thank all our admins that helped and contribute as well. But we knew we'd be able to offer a good experience based off of our experience for the HVZ as kind of the main event. And then we wanted to wrap that around again by doing our PvP event the next day. So the newest thing that we'd never done before was really the tournament itself. But having competed a few times and seeing kind of what worked from past experience and other examples that have been available, we kind of took what we felt worked best and somehow meshed it all together and created that tournament. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm extremely proud of what we were able to accomplish. Again, we offered a live stream, which was something that we didn't know. I didn't know. I was in charge of the live stream. I just have a very simple setup. So
Last minute.
we actually went to go. I knew I wanted to do the live stream. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I'm a professional videographer as my permanent day job, so I have those kind of resources. But we went to test it that week, and we were going off of the Wi-Fi, and it was no bueno. And then day of, we gambled. We did a hardwire into the Ethernet, and everything ended up working out as far as that concerned.
Fixes everything, man.
And then also, I think one of the challenges was getting the teams together. Obviously, if you're going to have a tournament, it's nice to have teams to compete in it. But Maryland, fortunately, already had, I think, about 4 teams in existence or forming at that point. So I think once people saw there were some familiar names like Mystic Vapor and Magic Smoke and some other teams involved, people started getting interested in competing. And then also we wanted to offer, some prizes, that were kind of community-based, community sponsored, donated. So it was great to have Out of Darts contribute. Al contributed,
and which really helped out.
Containment crew, yeah. So, I personally am very satisfied with the way that everything turned out. The tournament definitely was a learning experience. We already have 100 ideas how we can improve that. We've received the feedback forms that have been filled out. We're working on a new point-based system. Definitely working on getting some facility upgrades if possible to accommodate. And things like that. But yeah, overall, I'm extremely proud of what we were able to accomplish for the entire weekend in general. So
thanks, Louis. You had Andrew talking forever. No, it's okay, Andrew. I actually have more questions for you. I want to come back to it. I mean,
I'm gonna wrap.
Actually, I'm gonna assume it sounds like the competitive day was probably the most stressful of all the days. Just it's the most scrutinized and the most heated, especially when there's like rules that are definite and there's prizes involved. HVZ was more like that's what I was worried about because I know you guys don't totally control that, and I've never had the experience up there, but you guys vouched for it, so I'm like, it's probably good. I heard a lot of stuff about, oh, I got a blaster upgrade. That was a common complaint, but everybody who played, it sounded like they liked the mechanics, and it sounded like it all worked out awesome. I do want to get Team Smog involved. They looked a little bored because it was a lot. That question was a lot, guys. I've been waiting because I have a question. So my question for you, we're going to start with Zelkos because you're team captain. So I want to know.
Give Kale a shot.
Kale's had plenty of times on this. We've had Kale on once or twice now. I think this is the first time we've had the Zelkos experience. I want to know. as team captain, what your blaster choices were in the competitive play.
So I ran a Lynx and an SBL. The SBL, the Lynx is pretty decked out, and parts that you can't get anywhere from other places just because of my connections and things like that. But
Mhm.
other than that, only two. Only, but other than
Pay to
that,
win.
it's pretty. Other than that, it's pretty standard stuff. I had a four. It was a four. It was a Roboman 2 plunger tube that I use that I really like. X4 spring from Silver Fox. But the most of the stuff that was in my SBL came directly from Gavin. And the only thing that wasn't from him was the Roberman the barrel that I had custom. It was anodized custom from him, which was really cool.
You
But
running
other than
bearing
that,
scars?
I am running bearing scars. The only yeah,
Maybe a dumb
they
question.
are.
You said it
They.
was
I didn't.
decked out.
Well. I'm lucky. I'm fortunate enough to know a guy named Eli Wu who let me run his Andromeda scars on both of the. I actually had run it on both the SBL and on the Lynx. I'm probably about maybe like, and Kale can definitely say this. I'm probably about like one of the 5 or 6 people that actually have one, and I am very fortunate. And I wish that people could. I wish that more
Nice to
people
you,
could have
Kale.
it, but it is a fantastic bearing scar. I can't stress it enough. And then yeah, but for me, that's what it is. But as much as the blaster was fantastic and very reliable, it was my teammates that were more reliable than anything else. So
Oh, everybody loves Kale. I'm just kidding. So Kale, what were you running?
Um, I am running the one and only very divisive Val-M, which is a fully injection molded Delrin version of the Valkyrie. Um, a lot of people have had some negative things about the price about that blaster, but it's been worth every penny. Um, it's just, I mean, you can't trade out for the durability. I did bring a SBL as well as my backup from Gavin. I've been very fortunate as a member of Team Nebula, not just as the captain, but just as a member, for us to have 2 wonderful and very supportive sponsors that supported us not only when we were playing on our own team, but also supported us when we were playing for Smog, and that would be Roboman and Out of Darts. They both came in clutch with parts that we needed. This bearing scar is one of the things that Eli Wu designed, and he is on our team, but wouldn't be possible without Roboman.
100%.
Doing all of his custom SLS. Even for Roboman's been so good to us that he even helped me with some design flaws on my casual blaster, which is a Super Spamf, which is of course a base Falcon Fire, and then converted with a kit by Gavin Fuzzy, and then further converted by, I want to say, Old Fusion Designs came up with the front priming conversion kit known as the Super Spamf. And then I've taken that one step further. I got this one for you.
I'm gonna go get my stuff so I can show it as well too. Give me
Oh
one
man,
second.
Kale's ready.
That's what we do
Kale's
here.
ready. Kale was like, when the stream comes up, I've got everything. Got everything on my wall.
Yeah, well, uh, I've converted it one step further. Detroit Dart Works came up with this end strike attachment point, which also doubles as a sling, which makes this the super duper spam. So this is pretty much a primary class little blaster. And I was fortunate enough to be having some issues up here and with the slide, and Roboman made a custom SLS one just for me.
Just
So
for you. I'm
I,
sorry. I just,
so that's
I
pretty
just
cool.
messed with
And of
Kale.
course, no worries, no worries. And of course, like like Zelgos mentioned, we have the Andromeda Scar. This thing isn't necessarily made for that application, but I use this on pretty much every blaster that I can. And one of the reasons why I can do that and use it on different blasters is because of the locking system being adjustable. So it doesn't really matter the outer diameter of my barrel. Pretty much most of the time it's going to fit. So I brought a couple other options just in case I broke it or had any issues, but I pretty much unclamp this, twist it tight onto whatever blaster I'm using, and I don't really have any problems.
Any flywheelers on your team?
Yes,
Momentum.
Yeah.
I am actually. There's actually two flywheelers. So Luke of Out of Darts also played on our team.
Oh,
He
I
was
saw
using
Luke playing.
the
What's that blaster called? Dang it, what did he
the
have?
momentum.
Momentum.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was running
I
the
need
momentum
that in my
designed by.
life.
You
Yeah,
really
so
do.
it is gonna.
You really do.
It is.
Like I got to freely use it the first time at the 11th hour, and I am diehard Springer like for the past I would say like 3 maybe 4 years ish, and oh my god did I have fun with that thing. It was one of the most fun blasters that I've ever used in my entire, well, I would say career of in this hobby, and I can tell you that whatever it's gonna cost, worth it.
You're getting one, huh?
So it will.
Give him money.
It will be available. It will be available. Coming shortly. But actually, as a backup to my blasters, if we needed to change our strategy, I was also the person who would run a flywheeler if we deemed that necessary in the tournament. And so I was also going to run a momentum. So there are two of them, one owned by
Oh, so
Luke
you
and one
have a
owned by
momentum
Eli.
too. Oh,
I do not own a momentum.
He has a
oh, you were
low
gonna run it.
momentum.
Okay, you were gonna run Luke's.
Yes.
I got you.
So
I was like, dude, you have one of those too?
uh, no, I do not own a momentum. I will definitely be supporting and rocking momentum when they come out. But we've been through a few other practices for other events, such as Ragnar Oktoberfest. And
That's a
we've
big one.
been a part of testing some game modes. So we went up to in between Foam Pro Tour finals and the Maryland Mayhem. We went up north. Team a group of members, half Red Tide, and half Nebula, went up to kind of just mix it up and test the game mode up there for a NorCal kind of double weekend. And at that time, that's when we decided I would try running momentum. And when it was necessary, it was very effective for me to do so because I play an aggressive Springer role these days. I used to play as a backline player as open in Foam Pro Tour. And as times progressed, I found myself more accurate and also more aggressive. So, the role to flywheel was a pretty natural switch, but I still am a Springer primary.
It's fun to switch from time to time. I feel sometimes you feel a little stale in one, uh, and if maybe in a competitive setting, it might be more strategic, but just for fun play like the day of the 11th hour, it's fun to switch back and forth.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I have a quick question from
I will
Flying
say
Chicken.
that.
Oh, go ahead, Andrew.
I was going to say, if anyone cares what my comp blasters are, I really enjoy using. I really enjoy using the Colonel Wasp 76 and the Impact 498 Foxfire Talon Select Fire.
I'm sorry. I just thought
No
I
one
was
cares,
like,
though.
no, it's because I knew you missed out. I know you missed out on the competitive play.
I know.
And Andrew always downplays his skills, like, "Oh, I'm not that good. I'm not that good." And he's out there like, "I got him. I got Danny. Got him. He's down. He's down." And he's.
I've played.
I have footage of that too at the last he's like, "Exoctos, I got you."
Well, sometimes he downplays his skills. Andrew's got some skills, man. He plays
I will say
basketball, so he's got some legs too.
I've played against Andrew in a competitive setting in the pro tournament. And you're absolutely right. He does have skill. Nothing to scoff at. So Don't be fooled by his humble demeanor. He will get you if you are not careful.
All a ruse, guys. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by it. Okay, so Andrew, you do have another question because you're an organizer. It's from Flying Chicken. I think that's an old school name from SENEC, I believe. Uh, what game types did you run during the blaster battle, and how well did they work with that many people? I know you talked about the chaos of it, but did the game modes work out? Was that many people?
Yeah, I think they did. I'm sorry to speak for him, but like I had fun.
No, I mean,
Didn't
you guys were there.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. It was definitely really fun to let loose after what it was for the past couple days. But yeah, it did. There was a lot of people on the field, but felt fun.
Yeah, I think for the most part, the game types we ran were just simple TDM kind of death clicks is what we call it. So if you lose a life, you got to go click in, and then whoever has the least amount of deaths at the end is the winner. Then I think we played Titan Ball, which I think everyone had a blast. Captain Xavier ran that. Thank you, Captain Xavier. And then I think we ran 3-point domination. So we had 3-point. We had our Gamader bucket mods. I'm sure you've seen them popping up around. We had 3 of those on the midfield lines, and then the teams that were able to get their timers down to 0, best 2 out of 3 were declared the winners. Then we ran attrition, which is basically reverse death clicks. Each team has a certain amount of lives, and then whoever has the most remaining lives at the end is the winner. And then we ran the Maryland Nerf herder staple known as Civil War. Debatably should be called Revolutionary War or some other type of war, but and that ended up being a lot of fun. I don't think we've ever had that many people play that,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think we went into the whole 11th hour event itself as more of a casual day for people to unwind. People that wanted to play could play. Other people would just hang out and chit chat. I think I heard there was some balancing issues between the 2 teams. But, again, we were just there to have fun. Everyone took, I think, for the most part, was taking their hits. And, again, it was just a great opportunity to come together as a community and play together and hang out and have fun together. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
just so you know, I'm pretty sure that's because Team Smog was on the blue team the whole day.
It's also because Dark Sweep wasn't on red team.
So
I have a question for you guys for Team Smog. So when Andrew goes to a mode, when Andrew was running games, not participating, when he was running games and he had his bullhorn and he was calling things, did you guys have to did you ever attempt to get his attention or be like, hey, Andrew, when he's in that mode of organizing? Because I don't know if I've been to several events where he's doing the organizing and he's on the megaphone and like you could be screaming his name right next to him and he will not hear you. He is in robot like organizer mode. Like you can be like, hey, Andrew, you're black. Oh no, he's got the megaphone.
funny,
He's not even gonna hear me.
funny story,
I
and go ahead, yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say that's very opposite to my experience at 11th hour. So
Okay.
first, I just want to sidestep for a second and say, am I the only one who heard the name 11th hour and thought it was continued HVZ? That sounds like a Final Stand mission.
Yeah.
You're
right though. It's a good name for an HVZ event, but it also makes sense that it was the last day event, the 11th hour, and I get that association as well. But yes, it's an awesome HVZ name, definitely.
Yeah. My experience was Andrew was very cognitive and aware. He was making jokes with us, and the crowd, a large crowd at that, and I had no problem getting his attention when I needed it. But honestly, half the time I didn't even see him, and then I turned around and I'm like, oh, and now I'm having my photo taken. He's sneaky.
I just
I was
with him
jealous
at
of
the end
the
of the
photos.
day.
I didn't get to get, and then I got in a photo with you, Kale, and I think that was about it.
For sure.
I was just I was mainly milling around, and everybody's so busy, and there's so many people. And you can't get a photo with everybody. And I've had photos with Andrew. Andrew looked so busy, I didn't even want to bother you. I was concerned whether you were eating and drinking the competitive day.
yeah, like I was saying, I just messed with him at the end of the day. I was like, he was like, oh, thanks for all day. He was saying, thanks for coming out. We appreciate you. So the first thing I did to him was like, I'm like, hey, thanks for coming out. We appreciate you. And
Um,
he was like, he was great. I think I broke him a little bit in that moment, but it was really funny.
another so a question, I guess I know I wasn't gonna compare events, like separate events to this one, but I guess within the 3 days of the events, like competitive is competitive. Um, what are you guys like? What's your preference? When did you guys have more fun doing the HVZ day, or did you have more fun on the day of the 11th hour? It's a loose question. It's not like loaded question. Like, I just wondered
It
your
makes
preferences. For me, I've never participated in HVZ, so I can't really speak on it wholly, except for what I think of myself. But the 11th hour is more my jam as far as the Nerf day.
Yeah, I mean, so I actually had an even larger experience this whole weekend than I think a lot of other people got to. I came in one day early, jumped on the HVZ on Thursday, the
Thursday
local
night.
UMBC game, and then Friday we did the tournament, and then Saturday we did the HVZ UMBC Invitational. Then Sunday we had 11th hour. I stayed for an additional day, and I played one more Monday night local UMBC
Oh, you
HVZ
stayed
game.
Monday too.
So
Wow.
I did. I was gonna get my
Somehow,
money's worth.
somehow I was convinced to show up to that as well. So,
So it was really funny because on Monday, or actually I'm sorry, I have this clip, and I'm gonna put a video together which I'll mention more later about. But I have this clip of Jesse from Magic Smoke, who was gracious enough to let me stay with him while I was in Maryland, and make that trip possible, because it is expensive to travel and everything. So shout out to Jesse. But
Jesse's a
I
cool guy.
said, "Hey Jesse, yeah, he's a cool guy. We were at 11th hour. He's obviously burned out." I went up to him and I said, "Hey Jesse, what are the odds that I could convince you?" Or no, I was like, "What are the odds that you'd be down to go to the Monday night HVZ game?" And he said, "Pretty low." And I have this on camera. I was wearing my GoPro at the time. And then he pauses and he looks up, kind of like into the distance for a second. He goes, "I guess I could be convinced." It's like, okay, well, I guess we'll see how that goes. And then I asked a few more people, and then the response I got back was, "I'll go if you go." And so now I got like 5 or 6 people conditionally going to this if I go. And I'm like, well, if this many people will join, then I have to go and stuff. So yeah, I did stay, and it was really fun. The biggest thing I think, as someone who's coming from California, is we don't really have HVZ. So for me, um, besides End War, I've never been able to participate in large scale or even, medium scale HVZ before. So I wanted to get as much as that as I could. Tournament
Yeah.
play is always going to be my favorite thing, because it's what I was immediately delved into the minute I got into the hobby. But HVZ is something unique, and I got as much as I could this weekend.
That's awesome.
I'd piggyback on that with Kale. I think where it comes to when it's organizing events, like obviously the casual stuff's great, but HVZ and comp are kind of like far and few in between at this current juncture. So the more we can get of that, like that's gonna kind of, like, for me at least, break the what's it, but to not discrediting what Sunday was at all, because Sunday was a blast. It was absolutely something that was felt almost like necessary after running around on campus, which was 32,000 steps. So, yeah.
I get it. I get it. Your heart still yearns for competitiveness. It's just, but it was like
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure Sunday was still like a good wind down fun. And then if you didn't want to play it, being less serious, you didn't feel that obligation. You can walk around. That's what I like, that you can mill around and just talk and hang out with people. If you're just like, I'm tired and I got to sit this one out because I'm not picking up darts next round. That guy's got a Percy's or something.
So I see that Andrew. There's another question for Andrew, but if there's any questions about competitive or things like that, I would love to talk about that as well, because that's like
Awesome.
Yeah.
like our favorite.
I did want to
Real,
give out. I
real
guess
quick
we've
before
got.
we
Go ahead.
real quick before we segue to that question for Andrew, because it is a good question. The other thing about 11th hour, like, so for me, as you have now probably seen, Andrew's probably noticed, Zelkos is probably aware, I am the Energizer Bunny. If there's something to do, I will find the energy to do it. So I did not sit out a single round of any day of anything I could participate in. In fact, I was very excited for 11th hour, so I don't want it to seem like I wasn't excited for it. That's when I got to actually run the super duper spam kind of concoction I got going on here. I had a blast doing it. It was super cool of them to bring down the FPS cap to make it so that the things that we brought for HVC would fit for these PvP games. I've never played Titan Ball. I've never played Civil War. I loved all of those things. Civil War was particularly hilarious, just, because I'm used to running around and doing as much as possible all the time. And now I'm stationary for pretty much all of the game, except for small incremental moves. So that was super interesting. And of course, Titan Ball is hilarious and comedic, and there's so many things that just go wrong, and it's actually part of the fun, which is something that doesn't usually happen with things. When things go wrong, it's usually like, oh no, things are wrong, my blaster exploded, and the dart only went a few feet, but with Titan Ball, it just added to the experience. Everything that went wrong was hilarious. Like my own teammate, we took all this time to set up this little blockade. Kenny from Mystic Vapor was on my right. I'm running up behind. Kenny has a shield, so it's, I'm utilizing that cover. We get the person with the Titan rocket launcher to the goal. That person shoots it, and our teammate runs in front and gets hit by that.
Oh no!
Like, you know what I mean? It's just you couldn't plan for, but it was hilarious and it was a great time.
And you could run, Brett's special tactics where he just didn't even run a blaster at all. So that was pretty
No,
fun.
he ran the Gallahorn. He ran the
Oh,
Gallahorn.
that's right. He did run the Gallahorn.
I have it on tape of him just running up with this gigantic monstrosity of a blaster, and it was taking shells. I'm sure it was a 3. Yeah, seriously. And just, oh man, it was a good time.
So I have this great clip of Ray with the Titan rocket, and he manages to get to the goal. It's just him. No one sees him. He scores the Titan rocket, picks it up, scores it again, picks it up, and scores it again, and game is over.
That's awesome. I don't know if y'all noticed. I just wanted to give a few shout outs. I know we had Flying Chicken, who's an old school name. We had Perry from Out of Darts. I know I mentioned Louis from the HVZ Online. Flying Chicken is an old school name. I know he goes way back in SENC, I believe. And Brett was on. It looks like, if that's him.
Man with hat.
Man with hat. Yeah.
Yeah. So
then, yes, next, all the questions for Andrew. I don't know if you guys noticed this. That's what you get for being an organizer. They have questions for the organizer. So
I will do my best to answer them efficiently.
Actually, this one's about for you, your profession, I guess, and how it relates to Nerf, because it says to Andrew, as a professional videographer, what's your approach to taking pictures during events?
So I want. That's a hard question, I guess.
I'm not the
so
only
I
one
do
that
photos
thinks you're
as well.
a badass photographer.
Thank you. I try. I pretend like I know what I'm doing. No, I think really. So a lot of the photos I see are kind of limited to the photographer kind of standing on the side. And then as someone that kind of has a video background and is always interested in kind of capturing the action on top of having good composition, I like actually being on the field and being able to grab content. And I also like shooting with a wide angle lens as well to kind of not only get the focus point, but also the environment that's there as well. So I think my approach, from being a videographer translates into doing event content is basically, being able to put myself in the action. Uh-oh, did I time out?
No, you're good.
I can
We
know.
just
I can hear you. I don't know.
we just
Oh,
got really
okay.
still.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we're just all still.
Yeah, so I
all of us.
So I hope that answers that question.
What were the rules for the competitive game?
Yeah. I think this is yours. This is yours right here, Zelkos.
How did it go?
I
Would you
mean,
change
Andrew was the
anything about it?
organizer, but I assume that you guys, being in the competitive,
Oh,
knew all of the rules. So if you guys want to,
oh
so the
yeah.
questions from
I
Flying
mean,
Chicken that
so
you were reading,
I
what were the
think I
rules for
think
the
I was the
competitive
I think
game
it was only
and
I
how
think
they
it was
work
one of
out?
the few people. Sorry, I think it was one of the few people that read the rules like 3 times before we went into to the
I
point
knew I
where I
was
caught
asking the right person.
I caught Andrew on one, and he was like, "No," I was like, "Yeah," and which had
Oh,
nothing
head
to do with
ref.
actual, which
Sorry.
actually had nothing to do with gameplay, but it was something that I won't mention here. But anyways, so so it's a 3 minute gameplay. So what we did was it started as a round robin that went into a finals bracket. The top what it was supposed to be, I believe, was if the top 10 go of the 4 brackets, if there were 16 players, would go to the finals. But since we were kind of had that weird little extra 13 number, it changed a little bit. But the general rules is kind of based off of a mixture of speed dart, flag dash. I'm sorry, speed dart, flag push, and basically what would happen is you had to either eliminate your team or capture a flag to win that game. Now, the tricky part about maximizing points was that if you wanted to get 7 points, which would the maximum you could do, one person had to be alive to maximize that point. So so it would be 4 people who had to be tagged out, and then the flag push, which would have been 7. Which came in handy depending on what situation you were in. Because if, let's say, you had lost a match before, you could still. It depends on what you were in. So you were trying to capitalize points during the round robins. But if, let's say, you lost the round before and you wanted to end it on the next round, with if you went for the flag capture, what we call the perfect game, you would go for the flag pitch on the second round by getting the perfect
I
amount
was
of points.
there, but for people who want like a basic understanding, it changed on how they were going to do it because it was like you said, an odd number of teams. Then we set it in brackets, but then it was point based. And then
Correct. For
was
the
it
round
the
robin.
top
Yeah.
team from each bracket that advanced? So like
No.
No, no,
Mm-mm.
no, no.
we said it was like a
So,
round robin after the point base. I'm trying to follow it too.
so the thing is the round robin. Every team from the round robin went on to the elimination bracket, but the round robin's purpose seemed like it was more for seeding, for matchmaking of the games. And so
Okay.
what you were trying to accomplish was to get a higher score, and so you could be matched with teams more on your level,
Got you.
and so that you could compete in that way. But the other thing is that the top 3 teams of the entirety of the round robin tournament would get a bye due to the uneven number of teams. So they wouldn't have to compete in a kind of like first round in the elimination bracket. The other teams that were below those 3 would have to kind of fight for their place in that next round. So we were lucky enough to um, I obviously skill plays a role, but like we were lucky enough to get into that top 3 bracket, and so we were able to basically play one less round than some of the other teams in the elimination bracket.
And I heard there were a few
Yeah, I think
complaints about how it was run like that, but I found that that was fair that you earned a bye through 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 your team's performance. That it made sense. I just loose talk. It wasn't like, oh, big upheaval, but I heard a couple loose comments, but I'm like, that makes sense. It's kind of like I heard about somebody being complaining about being turned too early in HVZ. I'm like, it happens. Neil got turned early, I heard too, and he's one of the main organizers. He's been going, they were targeting me. They were, I don't mean to downplay that person's experience, but at the same time, I think the events there and the competitive or HVZ 11th hour is mainly fun. There's probably not a lot of drama going on there, but I think everything was run fairly fair. It seemed like I didn't hear complaints about like,
Yeah.
oh, they were
Well,
favoring this team because they're local and things like that. Granted, a local team did win overall, and it just still seemed like it was very congratulatory and not like, oh, it happened because they're local. I didn't hear any of that.
well, I'd like to say one thing, and I'm sure Kale can jump in on this too. It's everything when there was an issue, it was resolved in a timely manner. So, for instance, one of the things that was happening in the very beginning that a lot of people probably didn't notice, but the teams that were registering were, is that when we were doing blaster checks, there was only one chronograph, and then it was taking a long time. And then all of a sudden, 15 minutes later, when we noticed that, oh, it's going to take a while, poof, a second one popped up, and we started getting through. If there was any type of dispute with that was being held, in previous tournaments that we've played, it's taken a long time to go through that. And you had just players just sitting around waiting for the next call, what it was. And whereas this was, all right, here it is, this is what it is, all right, we're going to keep playing and then settle the dispute. All right, we figured it out, this is what our ruling is. And only at one point in time did they actually have a tiebreaker, which was awesome in my personal opinion. So like I said, anytime where I saw something that there was a problem, it wasn't just it was addressed in a timely manner. That's which I thought was really fantastic for the tournament. And it's definitely something that, obviously we can always improve on any portion of it, but like that needs minimal improvement from my personal opinion.
I just want to jump in and kind of explain the logic behind the tournament format itself. So we did the round robin, as everyone knows, to give seeding to the finals bracket. The thing was, especially as a player that's competed before, we wanted to give teams, especially since some teams had, all 8 roster spots filled, we wanted to be able to provide the teams a chance to actually play more than just a couple of games. So we thought doing a group stage where we'd have a couple groups and the teams would get a chance to play pretty much everyone within their group. Of course, we were constrained by time a little bit, so we ended up, and odd numbers. So we had to do a mulligan game, I think, for one group. But again, we wanted everyone to make it worth their while, their trip to come out there. KL is coming out from California. So, just to be able to play more than a couple games and not have to worry about, being double eliminated or, doing a double elimination, you lose one and you're already, down, and having a hard time to get back. So having everyone, do the round robin, play the teams, get seeded based off of their points and performance in that round, and then allowing everyone to play in the finals bracket, let everyone get in at least 4 games, I want to say, which I think, we played 36 games overall, if I do the math, matches, if I do the math correct. So that's a lot of foam flinging for a tournament, in my opinion. And I think everyone was pretty satisfied with that format, overall. So
I think
it sounds
one
like
thing
there's
to
a lot
add
of.
to that.
Go ahead.
One thing to add to that is it had an additional benefit that I feel like people aren't really talking about, but I really appreciated, which was ample time to rest between matches to really give it my all in each match. Now, in situations like Q3 at, Foam Pro Tour, nothing against the way the event was ran, but it was hot. It's in the sun. We're running around. There's no AC on the outdoors. You know what I mean? And, late games, the fatigue was real. Sometimes we'd come off of a match and, all of a sudden we're up on the next match. And that never happened. And when they thought it was about to happen, organizers were like, we're going to we're going to move that back. That doesn't seem really fair for them to play multiple matches back to back to back and stuff, which was really cool, and I really appreciated.
Well, the fact, yeah, and then on top of it, since there was 2 teams, the team, it was almost impossible for you to have. It was impossible for you to have back-to-back rounds. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I think overall it sounded like, I mean, it sounds like the organizers are very heavily involved in the type of play that you guys were looking for, and that's what made them be able to care and make decisions that weren't about what was the easiest. You know, they did things that made sense that what the players would want, and that's what sounds like went down, and that's really awesome. I mean, even like the comment I'm reading about the 3 buys, they thought that was a great idea. Was the odd number of teams like that was great. Um,
It also provided an incentive to perform well in those round robin group stage rounds.
A lot of people weren't thinking about it the way that Smog was thinking about it, or at least it didn't sound like they were thinking about it from the conversations I overheard. You know, they were talking about how they wanted to, you know, beat the team that's in front of them. And to be honest, with a round robin and it being seeding, we had to be thinking in those steps ahead. So in a match where, you know, I'm thinking, do I want to beat this team? Of course. But I also have to be thinking, how can I maximize the amount of points? Sometimes we took some risks, which meant giving the other team more points than we would have if we played a different way. But we did so to maximize our points and so that we could either get the bye or at least be at the top. We were very set on being as high as we could so that we could, you know, maximize our
buys.
score. Yeah, get those buys, but also beat other teams to ensure that we got a chance to play against the best of the best teams.
Yeah. And I can tell you right now, for us, you know, at least we were, when we were doing it, going through the process, and we really wanted that, you know, to be in that top 3. So when it came down to, after we had done our match with Bone Bees, we all looked at the score, and I was going to everybody, all right, we need 12. We need 12. And, you know, everyone on our team knew we needed 12. And the next, which was really interesting for us because, like you said, the team that we were the team that had to face a team that didn't require points for that round. So it was us versus the double XLs. And so they had nothing.
By the way, may I say,
they had nothing to lose, and we had everything to win. So it was really an interesting point. And so it was a really great match, by the way. And it was really cool, too, because for me, it was what I also saw on the field was all the teams started just getting better. You know, like every team really started finding their own. And so, you know, when triple XLs went on the field earlier, I mean, double XLs went on the field earlier that day, you know, they weren't doing too good. And then all of a sudden, yep, that's right, get off my lawn. Sorry, Al.
There's Al chiming in on the chat.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, when we went to face, you know, double XLs, it was a different team because they were really like, you know, they found their own. They knew how to coordinate and on a defensive play, and which provided probably the most interesting game of the day. You know, and it was fun to watch, and it was really a great game.
And that would have never happened
Yeah,
without them having set up that way where they maximized play for all the teams to get involved and not just play like 1 or 2 games. I mean, that sounds awesome. And it's awesome that their teams were getting better throughout the day. That's really awesome to hear. I mean, that had to have been exciting for them to feel a little better about themselves. Maybe they got wiped out one round and the next round was a little better. And another round was a little better after that.
I can tell you, Orca team, they in the round robin, they didn't do too well. They were probably like 4th or maybe 5th or tied with like 4th or 5th. I can't remember exactly, but they, you know, during the brackets, they came up and fought for everything and got 3rd, which was like, you know, I had talked to Junior before the event and kind of knew him, and we had gone back and forth on Discord. But like, seeing them play and seeing them really like earn it, they really, they got third, and it was really awesome to see.
Yeah, and another thing about I know we mentioned in the chat the no disputes as like kind of a joke because obviously the idea is not to have the disputes, it's to have more refs and more cameras, which Mayhem had all of those things. But there was a dispute that made sense, that was reversed, and it restored the confidence in me personally. Not that I had any loss of confidence in this particular event, but just in general, that if something was wronged with the proper evidence, it would be righted. And that's something I couldn't say I've always been confident about in other events. When you provide evidence and the answer is like, hey, you're right, but it doesn't affect the outcome of the game, it can be a confidence shaker. But this time, with Orca, we watched the situation, and they fought, they used their dispute wisely, and they were almost out of the game, and they came back to win third, from the brink of elimination. So it's really cool, and it goes to show that it was anybody's game.
Yeah.
Al wanted us to remember that Orca did lose to Double XL once. And I know Orca is counted as a very competitive team, not just thrown together. I'm not gonna, a Double XL. I love you guys, but you definitely were kind of they're kind of a thrown together team. Well, hey, let's all the old guys get together, and this is our team. And it's awesome. They had Maritime Foam, Alpha Geek. They had they had a couple local Maryland guys. They had Trey. I can't remember everybody on the team, but I was really excited to see the old guys out there representing.
So, Flying Chicken asked another good competitive question.
Yeah, I was coming up on that if you want to read it.
In terms of competitive nerf, do you think there should be a standard rule set for 5v5? Are there other variations or rules that you could be viable? I can definitely answer that, and my answer is, at this current moment, no. To be quite honest, it's we're still in its infancy, in my personal opinion, and everything is changing. A couple of years ago, a Caliburn was the go-to for anything, to get on the field, and now with the different types of blasters and everything that's changing, and I don't think that's completely viable for a 5v5, to just limit yourself to one portion of competitive, and then on top of it, like, that's just boring. Like, one of the things that I'm looking forward to is playing King of the Hill, over the next couple months, practicing getting that information, getting that event down, just so that way we can learn different aspects of it. It gives us different tactics, makes us better players in general. So short answer is no and yes, because we obviously have a lot to learn. We have a lot to play, and we have a lot to just have fun. That's really what it is.
So it has to do with the new things that are added to the hobby. Like for Maryland, you guys have those awesome buckets. It's so sad to call them just buckets, but those things do so much for gameplay. I mean, I wish everybody had them. But basically, guys, you guys are hooking a megaphone or a speaker up to it. The thing has voice. It does countdowns. It tells you how many tags there were. It does timing for control over an area, King of the Hill or a different game. But yeah, those things are so. Just don't run into the buckets, right, Andrew? Don't run into the buckets. But those things they're magical for gameplay. They really are.
Yeah, and we also have
going to add on top of Zelkus?
Caleb's going to add something.
Yeah, so there's two things. One, just real quick. Yeah, we also have those buckets in SDNC, so it's cool, it's natural, and that's a cool thing about 11th Hour, is very natural to use those buckets as well, because they are very similar to the ones that we have in SDNC. But I wanted to go back to two kind of parts of the question. Flying Chicken's question was about standardization of 5v5, and then follow-up question: are there any other rules or variations that I think or that we think could be viable? And so I want to say that the first part of that question, the standardization of 5v5, is kind of a double-edged sword. In order for the competitive scene of the hobby, in order for it to move forward and to gain more mainstream success, if that's what the hobby is in fact looking for. If you look at other sports like that have mainstream success like paintball, standardization of everything actually streamlines that process, and it makes it so that everyone's preparing for these same things. It doesn't make paintball boring, but our hobby is kind of known for being a little more flavorful. So while mainstream success may look or has already been laid down for us by other sports in one direction, our path is our own to choose. So I think it's kind of like it could go either way. It depends on how the hobby as a whole feels about standardization. Two, the other rules or formats that could be viable. I do think that just because we have a standard format, if we choose to go that route, doesn't mean that there won't be other standard formats. I mean, you look at again, with paintball, NXL versus they have 1v1s and things like that. I personally would love to see 2v2s be a thing. I do want to work on a quote unquote King of Games tournament, or one where I'm an organizer. And in that, I would like to provide the teams two formats. And I'm not sure if it'll be a 5 or 4v4 for that larger format, but I know that I want to run doubles or 2v2s as a conjunction to that, meaning that teams can compete in their own factions, both against each other and against other teams in pairs, and see how the dynamic of blasters and players works out in those kinds of environments.
I'd like to add on top of that. I kind of look at it at this point. Yeah, I agree. We're definitely in our infancy of competitive, but you look at a game like basketball where we have the NBA, but not only the NBA, we have FIBA, and they have their own set of rules and regulations that are similar. But on top of that, there's also competitive 3v3, Big Three or just Olympic Three. So there's different game types within kind of that standardization of that sport that I'm really looking forward to seeing happening. I think things like, having the King of the Hill and Ion Rush and, just a standard FPT all kind of fit within that realm as well. So.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't notice Derek Sykes is in the house. I didn't notice he was in the chat. Derek Sykes from Dart Zone.
Dart Zone's brand ambassador.
He just very
Thank
slyly
you to Dart
said,
Zone for all of their support, especially
he
Derek.
slyly said, if only there was a company working unifying everything. Hint, is that a hint, Derek? There's something coming in the future on the pipelines from Dart Zone.
Kyle Moser is Kyle asked a question. He said that we partially answered this, but for Team Smog, what did you think of the referees and other volunteers for MFT? How do you think they did? Kale?
I think they did a great job. I honestly, I think they did a great job. The reality of our sport is that there isn't a lot of evidence that you've been tagged, other than the honor system. I mean, obviously there are things that you will see that's like, you see a dart go at someone and it changes direction completely. There are things like that, but in other, sports like paintball, there is a visible marker of undeniability, and also, people make honest mistakes. I think they did a great job about being both efficient at making the call and not getting in the way of gameplay in order to make it. So that's a big thing, I think, that's really important. And then I also think that the doubling up of cameras, they took it one step further. I went in there going I need a camera on the field so that I can present my evidence in case of a dispute. But I quickly realized how little that really mattered for that purpose. Because all of the referees had GoPros, and I think that's something that we were asking for after Q3. of the Foam Pro tournament. And one of the best things about the Maryland Foam tournament is it's organized by participants of other competitive events, so they know the pain like we know the pain of just certain situations that come up. And I think they addressed that very well. The calls were awesome, fair, really like pointed, and they made sure to cover their butts and get footage of all those things so that they could back up what they saw.
Yes, the passion
I will
is there,
say we are
Maryland,
definitely also looking to improve our coverage going into next year. A couple different camera angles added, wanting to make sure that all our refs are GoPro'd up. But yeah, so that's one of the things we are definitely looking to improve next year is providing more coverage. I definitely know there was an instance where the coverage wasn't captured for whatever reason. But we are definitely making sure that we, going forward, are trying to avoid any similar situations that we had issues with this year into next. So,
and
All I
things
can say
are
is,
not going to be perfect. I know near the end there was one of the later games there was an instance and there was a dispute. And again, I think the way you guys handled it, like very expeditiously, is just, you said there's no footage, there's no dispute, and you just moved on because things are not going to be absolutely perfect. I know in a high competitive thing you are, but even in competitive sports, you got high paid referees missing just watch some NFL, watch some NBA, making the worst calls in the world. I mean, right now NBA everybody travels, in my opinion. I love the NBA, Andrew, and I'm like, every play is a travel or every other play nowadays to me because I'm more into the old school. I allow the Euro step, the hop step, but now they're just plain running with the ball, man. They're taking like eights. LeBron, I think he dunked from the 3-point line, pretty much. Uh,
right.
Again,
I
I'm
joke
digressing.
with joke with Derek Sykes from Dart Zone. We're saying basically we're at ESPN the Ocho level at this point.
Yeah, the Ocho level, also.
yeah, and
Spanish
I just wanted to be
ESPN.
last because I think the like going off of what everybody's saying, the refs did great, and as much as we wish that we could, capture every moment, it's just we're not there yet, and that's really what it is. So once we are, yeah, it'll be, hopefully there'll be fair calls and everything like that. But at this current moment, we're all having fun. I mean, there's really very low stakes. I mean, it's all bragging rights at this point. So, I can just say that Smog didn't do any disputes, and we had no disputes against us. So,
Oh, I didn't know that. Sweet. That makes smooth running games and a lot of action.
I personally really appreciated.
Head ref. You're the
I
head
made
ref, were
an
you not most
announcement
of the
before the
games?
tournament. Yeah, I made an announcement at the beginning of the tournament. Everyone, please take your hits and no disputes. and then the very first match we had, Mega XL's dispute.
Oh no, I saw the panic look on your face
we
a few
listened.
times. Every time I saw the dispute, you're like, we got to
So
figure
we
this
listened.
out. Well,
Any
you guys are
All
questions?
jokes
getting.
Any more
aside,
questions? I like the questions. Let's keep it going, guys.
It looks
I
like
love
a
the
lot of
question.
congratulations. I mean, Flying Chicken says the GoPros on the refs are a great idea. Alda Geek's biased because he's local. No, he's very proud of the Maryland peeps, how they ran and organized everything. Flying Chicken
Why is
said
Al
time
not
to
in
pay
the
off
stream?
MFT refs. Um,
What they say? What was that?
he says it's time to pay off the MFT refs. And
pay to win.
King of Games, Kale, you saw Flying Chicken apparently wants to come to your event whenever you get your event going.
I want to come too.
Yeah. I think that
We're
brings
working
me
on
something
it.
that I've been. Yeah, that brings me to something I've been wanting to talk about. I love that Maryland hosted their tournament. I said this when I participated in, finals of the Foam Pro tournament, but I do want travel teams to be a thing for Nerf. I do think that it's possible, and if we all take our turns on our coasts in our local areas to set up very competent, competitive events in our backyards, then the teams that hosted for us, we can host for them. It is like that in other sports, and I think it will go a long way to growing the hobby, and especially this subsection of competitive play of the hobby. So I hope to not only host some events, but to inspire others to. It is a daunting but rewarding task, and I hope to inspire that both what MFT has done and what I hope to do in the future will help inspire others to do the same. I hope to see a lot of these teams hosting their own events that participated this weekend, and I look forward to visiting a lot of these teams when they do.
Well, I really think they have a special thing going there. I mean, I remember my first experience with Maryland was Southern Maryland House of Nerf, and that one it was a lot smaller back then. At the time, I don't even know if Ben remembers coming down. We had a small little rinky-dink club going on in Richmond too, and they were very supportive. Like you were saying, Kale, they wanted to support other groups. And they made a drive down. They didn't care if 5 people were showing up. They were going to come down and support, show off their caliber. At the time, it was calibers. Everybody had a caliburn, or they were doing a 40K bolter strike or something. I think that's what was hot back then. But yeah, they came down and played. And it was just really good. Even when they were like very small, it was very supportive, and I'm very happy that it grew and they were able to meet Andrew and DMV, and they were able to meet DMV and Neil. And like what really happened was, like, I've been to some small clubs and I've seen some hot-headedness from like admins. Those guys are all chill. They're all very, I'm not saying they can't be stern. Ben, I want to say, is probably the most stern of them all, laying down rule sets, but they're stern when it's appropriate, when it's about, hey, if you're caught touching somebody else's blasters, that's it. You're gone. We don't tolerate it, or eye protection. Hey, dude, did you forget, those are the times that they're stern at appropriate times. It's not like I've seen some other small settings where they go, dude, I explained the rules to you 3 times and you still don't understand. I'm like, dude, that's really not something cool, and that's not going to help grow the hobby. And I think most of the people in it are more into, like you say, like a supporting type role. And then we want to shoot each other with really, really high FPS blasters and hurt each other, right? But build them up, then break them down is what we're doing. But yeah, I'm trying to start up my local club here in Richmond, and we'll see where it goes. I actually was surprised. We had our first event and there was like maybe 12 people showed up. But what I was most surprised was I saw like a 3-stage worker blaster. I saw a couple Lynxes, dart zone blasters, and all I was thinking is, why crap don't you guys communicate on Facebook? Because I didn't even know you guys lived here. They saw it on Facebook and came out, but I gotta try to get. There's a lot of people, I guess, that are quieter in the hobby, so that's another thing. You can't be somebody who's overbearing and think you're going to get the more docile, quieter people that are already kind of might be apprehensive going to the first event, and you're going to be overbearing about like that, or like this is the way it's going to be. From what I see up in Maryland, you guys listen to the players. You listen to each other, which I think might even be more important. That the admins getting along is probably the most important thing, because otherwise, how can you offer all what you offer? So I really think that all 3 of you guys are really cool guys.
Oh, I appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
I mean, I've seen some stupid stuff from adults. Like, I'm like, dude, you're 40, man. What are you so mad about,
I think
man?
so. Going, I just want to get back to the chat real quick. Flying Chicken's
Sorry for the
asking.
ages. I'm turning man, I forgot my age.
Sorry,
46
I'm
this
a
year, so.
I'm a project manager in real life, so like this is what. Okay, so
Yeah, I consider
in terms
myself
of
one of the old guys.
In terms of HVZ, what were the missions like? What were the zombie balanced? Anything that you would have changed? For me, this was my second HVZ overall, and it was very good. I was generally happy, so I couldn't say neither here nor there. Anybody else?
Yeah, I could
You go,
definitely
Kale,
say.
and I'll chime in afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is also my second large scale, and we're being my first. I think there was a lot of things that were done right here. I also think, like in terms of the missions, they were very cool and interesting. They had the theme, just so you guys know, was like a pirates theme, which is kind of interesting. One of the missions that we participated in, so all the big group of humans were split up into cells and had a mod with them, and they didn't all have the same first mission, which was kind of interesting. We had missions that were either completely unrelated to the missions that the other team were doing, or in fact had to do some of our missions in tandem with other groups. One of the missions was to build or construct a boat out of cardboard, and then we had to escort the person carrying that boat all the way to to a hold point. And then following that mission, there was another mission where another group had to also meet us near, but not exactly where we were, on the other side of like a little lake thing. And they had to signal to us through this like little code thing that the mods had on them, the letters,
cool.
and we had to crack a code. And that was super fun. And it was super funny too. So not taking ourselves super seriously. There were a few safety concerns, in my opinion. The team did great, and they had way more people than I think they've ever had to deal with. And that's just the nature of a hobby that's growing and hungry for these kinds of events. But I think in certain situations, maybe the mods just need to remember that they can take the authority to just pause gameplay, and maybe just a more clear in the mission briefing, a little more clear distinction of what terminology for game holds or game pauses or whatever they would like us to use are. I think there's a little bit of confusion there. But other than that, I think they did a really great job. And I know that they will continue to do better, because I got to see them in their natural environment both on Thursday and Monday, and they knocked it out of the park both of those days. And they did a really good job creating fun missions for us.
Did any of you guys try to use social media to communicate with each other when you weren't on the same part of the campus or field?
Yes.
I didn't think of that. Yeah, I was just.
Yeah, I saw some chatter. I'm in a couple groups, couple like Nerf small Facebook chats, and I heard a couple of them were like, "Dude, just come over here," and they were like chatting. I'm in the Starbucks from the rain or something, and they were chatting back and forth.
There was a few,
Andrew,
but not a lot.
Yeah.
Andrew, what did you have to say?
Yeah, I just want to say I'm extremely proud of the UMBC HVZ club officers and mod team that helped put this together. Definitely, this was something. It was definitely their first time dealing with these kinds of numbers in a large scale event, and I think for the most part, they definitely did the best they could. With that being said, there are definitely some growing pains that will be taken into account. Definitely some safety issues and logistics that I personally would like to see addressed. The MDFA didn't have its hands too much in the planning of the actual games itself, and of course I didn't get a chance to really play. I played the final mission once I finally got a chance to, and died almost immediately, which was glorious, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. But yeah, I think overall, for the most part, I think it was well received for what it was, and we're just looking to improve that as we go forward. The UMBC HVZ mod team, I think, consists of current club officers as well as alums. So they're all involved, and they really pride themselves on game mechanics and making sure the game is fun for both humans and zombies as much as possible. Like I said, I know there were definitely some issues that were brought to our attention that we're looking to definitely improve on for next year. But I think everyone, for the most part, had fun, and that's really what it's all about. So
cool.
So, I know I mentioned earlier people were like a little miffed about the whole blaster start off. You start off with a lower grade pistol before you can start using your higher higher capacity and magazines. You could wear your
There are a
magazines, but
couple
you couldn't
blaster
use them.
unlocks. Yep.
But then it's funny, the same people that were like apprehensive and were like, I don't know about this. Later on in the day, you saw them smiling, just upgraded and like posing with their blaster out on the field. I was like, sounds like the game mechanic was pretty cool because we got a big ass smile on your face, and this person, I'm not naming him, but this person was one of the last few, I think, remaining. So um, but at the same time, I think if you get tagged out early, like some of the complaints they're saying, I mean, nobody wants to get tagged out early, but at the same time, it's a
Know that,
game,
yeah, for
things
sure.
happen.
So there's one thing
Oh,
I want to
Yeah, for
touch on
sure.
here. There's one thing I want to touch on here about the attitude of HVZ, which is something that I think people need to think about when they're going in so that they don't feel that kind of disappointment again. I get it. We bring all these crazy loadouts and we want to use them. And, the unlock conditions, were, not that crazy. I mean, I've never played a game with unlock conditions, but, I had fun doing it. But the game isn't over when you get tagged and become a zombie. It's for you to become a zombie. All the times that you're shooting at people, you have to remember those are people that you're shooting at, and those people are taking their time and doing their best to be the best zombies for you. So if you are playing, it is your duty to do the same when you get tagged. I really don't like the attitude of, oh, when I get tagged, I'm just going to leave. And I think it's a toxic behavior that isn't good for the hobby or the longevity of HBC. So it's just a reminder to everyone that the game's not over when you get tagged. In fact, it can be just as fun. I volunteered to be a starting zombie on the Monday night game because I didn't expect to, but I did make it to the final mission on the invitational, and I was only a zombie for about, I don't know, 35 seconds before we switched around. So I didn't get to experience a whole lot of zombie play, but when I did, I had a ton of fun being a starting zombie, and there's this strategy involved in coordinating with the other zombies
yeah,
and
yeah,
really taking advantage of every bit of what you're given. Sometimes there's special powers. You utilize the people with special powers. It's still a strategic play, and it can be a lot of fun. So people should always be open to playing both sides.
yeah. You're right. I mean, it's up to the individuals. I mean, you take it as it is. If you're looking to have fun and you take advantage for what you have, I mean, not everybody gets to have an experience like that, and I'll probably be a very slow moving zombie. Just because
I wanna add on top of that. I mean, typically, from my experience and from what I know, large scale HBZ games are meant to result in a zombie victory, and I think that's
yes,
part of the fun of it is that everyone joins the horde eventually.
yeah.
It. I think it's fun to have the illusion of possibly being able to win, but just having a final stand and doing your best that you can, and then joining the horde afterwards, and chanting brains.
Yeah.
That's really what I think
I
it's
mean,
all
that's
about, and
basically
a
the
lot of fun.
formula of all zombie flicks and zombie. It's like you said, it's like the false hope of succession, but it's like that's not gonna happen. The whole world's covered with zombies, man. This
Right.
stronghold is
And
going
that's the
down
other
too.
thing. And that's the other thing. You want to play on the winning team, don't you? The
Yeah.
winning team is the one trying to eat the
Yep,
brains.
the winning team. You're right.
Ooh.
Uh,
Yeah, see, we got some
Al,
comments.
yeah, yeah. We've got
oh,
some comments
sorry.
definitely.
Yeah, Al asked a question that I don't want to miss. It was he said I would love to see a couple of rounds of tournament play
Oh yeah,
without
yeah, yeah.
high. I think he meant to say about high FPS blasters. So let's say stock rival. Would this mean it would mean a lot?
I'm with it. I'm down with that idea. I like that.
Here,
Maybe I'll be able to
what's
compete.
what's our thoughts on that?
My thought, like, I'm thinking, like, first, I'm kind of a pragmatist, so I kind of thought of like my thought of Al and Team Mega XL and how much more running they would have to do Nothing against the old guys, but man, running is not their forte. I watched them play. They posted up, and when they were doing well, they were sniping you guys from a distance for the most part. I mean, there are a few runs here and there. I saw Maritime make some dashes, or attempted dashes. But
All I
yeah,
can say is
I think
I
all
like
I can say
posting
is I
up
like
or relying on my high FPS blaster over running.
I'm on that same side. I like my accuracy. I
But
mean,
I will
there's
run,
some.
usually at the very wrong
Oh
moment
yeah,
too, just in case you guys were looking to pick up an
we've
extra.
got
I might run at the wrong time.
I mean,
I'm the guy that they usually
I mean,
go, "What's up?"
wasn't there a dart tag league, actual Nerf dart tag league that you
yes,
talked about?
there
Yeah.
was.
So,
Whatever happened to it? Never heard
and also
anything
the
There was
about
Black
it
like
League,
there
after
was
I
the
like
guess.
one
advertisement.
winner and that was it. Like I think there was like
Yeah,
one championship and that was it.
yeah.
But I'm not the historian of that. I think we might
And
need
the
an
NBL with Drac and those other guys that was on. Yeah. So
yeah.
there's a possibility. There's room.
So
Um,
so
I am gonna have to
so I
leave in the next couple minutes, so just if there's anything that you guys want to talk about or that requires me here, I just want to let everybody know.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was
yeah
probably thinking we're gonna wrap up in a little bit too, just because we could probably play all night. I mean, talk all night, but eventually the stream might get stale too.
yeah. Well, here's one thing I want to say. I agree with Jason in that I love my high FPS blasters, but oh, thanks Perry. Her name is Beyonce. The anyways, sorry. The chat. I'm reading it on the side, but I love my high FPS blasters as well. It's what what I really delved into with the hobby. But I really love from my two trips to Northern California, Awfuls. I actually love that game mode. And for those
Awful.
of you guys who don't understand the spirit of Awfuls, maybe your club doesn't play it, or you've never heard of it before. Basically, the idea is to choose like the most challenging, hilarious meme blaster you can, and then you go and play all the regular game modes and try to be as competitive with this often terrible or awful blaster that you can. The
That sounds
bigger
like
the
dollar
meme,
store
the more
blaster
you're
scale.
the more you're the more you're winning. And I really love that game mode. I think it's a lot of fun, and I would love to do rounds at the very minimum, if not a full tournament of different kinds of game modes, including rounds of awfuls, as well as one in the chamber. I think one in the chamber is a fun and competitive game mode that we've tested a little bit. And so the concept comes basically from that Call of Duty, Modern Warfare era, where you get one dart and you get one melee weapon. I know that melee is not a thing in our current competitive scene, but I think a lot of nerfers love melee. I do, as you can probably guess. I mean, I have a whole freaking bucket of these hatchets here, and stuff, and I think those kinds of game modes can be stock, or they can be lightly modified, like in that 130 range, but still keeping it silly and fun and ridiculous and maintaining the spirit of the hobby.
There was a group of guys at during the tournament day. They were just constantly playing melee with each other in the vendor area. You guys were probably uh, too involved in
Oh
the
yeah,
competitive
no, I
area,
saw
Oh, I
that.
saw
but
it.
those
I
guys
saw
were
it.
They were doing
drenched in sweat.
swords.
They were
Yeah, yeah,
into it.
yeah.
I was kind of off to the side. I watched a little. I just kind of enjoyed the experience. I didn't take video. I didn't take pictures. I'm just like, I'm just gonna walk around and just observe everything and just soak it in because I couldn't be there for the whole weekend. It was my daughter's birthday party was being planned the next day and things like that. I really hated missing Sunday. That was probably the day really wanted to go. But yeah, those guys were going at it. They were just, man, drenched
So
to their knees in sweat, just meleeing each other and doing goofy things. One of the guy was going against like a long broadsword looking thing, and he had the little tiny the alien incisor weapon. I think it was my buddy Tom who works at Filmdemic, but he had the little alien incisor, little melee weapon. The Alien Menace. I forget what the little blade thing is called, but it's definitely a reach disadvantage.
Mhm.
But they were just having a
Oh,
ball with melee. I'm not a melee guy myself. My son loves that Kale, loves the melee, and probably hates that I'm not that interested in it.
These are my
okay.
trusty too. Okay.
Did you throw them at
Well,
people too? I would want to throw those things.
I actually have
well,
a clip of me throwing. We were at a N1 Airsoft. We did a little takeover. I have a
Uh,
clip of me throwing about somewhere between 15 and 20 feet and just nailing somebody. And you don't have to
yeah.
worry because these things are so freaking soft. You couldn't hurt someone if you tried your hardest
Like
with one of
all
these
I'm
things.
thinking when I see those things is, and I don't have one of those. I got some of the big axes and the big swords and stuff, but like when I see those, all I'm thinking is Black Ops Tomahawk, man. Just Black
Sticks
Ops
and stones.
Tomahawk
Sticks and
action.
stones.
Uh,
all right. So let's go with the last question of the night for me, at least, and then you guys keep going. Flying Chicken asked, in terms of the event as a whole, what are the things that Maryland Mayhem did well that you'd like to see more big events doing? For me, it was just the complete and utter organization that just made everything go smoothly, and there was almost like no questions. Like it was, all right, here's where you can see the roster lineup, here's where you can see what match you're going to be doing, okay, here's the question for HVZ at least, and then all right, here's the mission briefing the day before, and here's the times that you can do it, and all of that was all in one place, easily accessible, for the whole entire weekend. And for me, that was just, in an era of convenience and then being able to pick up everything on your smartphone, the fact that they had that thought process in mind, that was absolutely fantastic. And I would recommend every big event just making sure that you have at least some sort of organization, webpage thing, something where everybody can go and see all the information that you need in one
yeah.
place, that one source of truth that's easy to get to.
Yeah, I mean, when I go up to Maryland, I can just sign my waivers online before I get there.
Yeah.
It's there's just certain automated things like that are just. It sounds simple, but it's like if you're not doing
Oh
it,
yeah.
it's a distraction. Definitely. Um,
Scale.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of already answered this question in other questions, but it just comes down to the refs having a good amount of refs is part of the equation, but making sure that they're equipped with cameras and being able to make these calls. I think that was just something that added that extra layer of confidence for teams not to make disputes because they felt everything was in line with what they were expecting. So the few disputes that were resolved quickly and they were resolved fairly and for accurately. From my experience, there's been situations in the past where it's not that it wasn't done in fair spirit, but it just was something that a lot of people were able to see wasn't an accurate call, and so that's something, the accuracy and the footage to back it up was something that Maryland did very well.
Andrew, do you want to answer your own about your own that you would like to see other big events do that you feel like you did well at least?
I guess I just like to hopefully, I hope we kind of set an example. I guess maybe hopefully that people can use and build off of.
You set a bar. You definitely
yeah,
set a bar.
you guys did.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean we set out. We had a vision. We set out to do what we needed to get it done, and I think we did the best we could with what we had, given our resources, budget, manpower, to accomplish that. And then, like I said, hopefully this will be able to provide an example of, for something for other groups and organizations and events to work off of.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I like,
I
as somebody who's maybe a little more infantile in visiting large events, but Maryland's been the one that I have the most experience with. But as like somebody coming into it new, like you can be confused and not find everything on the web page and not know exactly what blasters to bring. And if you just go and show up to their events, the organization takes care of all your confusion, or people next to you are very knowledgeable and friendly. And you could just like there's well, every time I go to DMV or one of the events, even the smaller venues, I meet people for the first time. That's their first experience there. Then you see them the next event, then the next one, then the next one. These are people that know nothing about the hobby. And then a couple months later, they're deep into it. And I think that speaks to the organization that somebody can come in blind and not know anything and then just they gel with it like instantly, and they go, oh, I get it. I've played paintball before. I've done this before, but this is different. The engagement, this is different. The community is different. And I think it's a good reflection, of the organization, basically. Just seeing new people getting into a hobby. So, yeah, I'm glad you guys set a bar because I'm hoping I can build something down here that's even an inkling of it. And then maybe we can collab and we can visit there. You guys can come visit here. So,
Well,
Jason, I know you gotta run. I think I just want to ask one question. If you want to answer and then dip,
yeah,
I thought
sure.
it would be fun for us to ask some questions. My question to everyone here is, what was your favorite funny or meme moment of the weekend?
That's tough.
Gotta
Ooh.
I
pick
didn't
one.
I didn't get to go, but the one day I think I had fun watching the melee guys I described to you guys, to be honest. Especially when the guy went up there was a little alien menace weapon. But yeah, that was a lot of fun to watch and just I don't
I don't
know. I
want to
don't
hurt
have
people's
very big
feelings,
funny
though.
moments.
I don't want to hurt people's
Wait,
feelings, though.
go ahead.
It's all in good fun. Go ahead.
Okay, if it's a
There's 8
tie.
people watching, I think.
It's a tie.
Be good.
and if I had to go with anything, it would be between Taffy's grin bringing the flag back to the wrong, what's it called? Him so happy, and and, and your look, like when you realized that Al was out of ammo, and just like that shock, and then just jetting like for the run of your life. So between those two, it's very difficult for me to like, because just seeing that like was the most confusing moment in the tournament. So those are my meme moments.
Yeah, let's hear it from Andrew. What was your favorite meme or funny moment of the weekend?
So there was a point. We had a raffle for the 11th hour, and Dart Zone provided a bunch of fantastic donations to the raffle. Some of those being the coveted blue Nexus Pro, which everyone wanted, which was great. And again, thanks Derek with Dart Zone for bringing those. But I said this better not end up on eBay. And sure enough, not less than 2 minutes later, it was listed up on eBay.
Oh no! Oh, because who was it? It wasn't one
Was
of the
it a
Maryland
joke or
guys.
did they actually?
I'm pretty sure they listed it.
Yeah.
Oh wow! You shouldn't have said
Sorry, guys.
anything.
I know, right?
Hold on a second. Hold on. Now I gotta
Tails
go.
looking
Now I gotta
it
go
up.
buy it.
You put in a bid on it?
I'll talk to you guys
What's
later.
the
Have a good
starting
one.
bid?
Yeah.
Right. I gotta find and put a bid, man. I couldn't get my hands on one of those.
I bet.
Yeah. But my thing with Zelkos brought up the taffy run, and that was funny. But the icing on the cake in that moment for me was actually his teammate behind him, who looked a little bit confused when he was doing it, but then the backline player celebrated with him, as Taffy's confidence was so infectious, he convinced his team as well that they had done it. Man, it was funny. But my personal favorite meme moment was, I believe it was Mystic Vapor versus Foam Rain. and a player came around from Foam Rain on the back line, coming up on one of the Mystic Vapor players. On the right side, they had an exchange, which was, it looked from my perspective to be that the Foam Rain player got out, and then the player on Mystic Vapor also believed that they moved over to the center bunker to get a more advantageous position. And then the player that had just gotten out, from my perspective, ran over there and tried to hand tag that person for whatever reason. And I thought that was absolutely hilarious. Just like the complete breakdown of how rules work and all that other stuff and what game mode we're even playing. I mean, it's muscle memory. Hand tags are viable in a lot of game modes or clubs and stuff, but it was just really funny. We were just losing our minds. We got a perfect view from the back window of that whole thing go down. And I thought it was hilarious.
I know exactly who you're talking about. That's funny. Are there any more questions?
No, there's some statements. Says UMBC HV's events are usually full of too many meme moments for me to have any idea how I'd be able to answer that question. Okay, who's that? Oh, it must have been a response to something else.
There were a lot of good ones at the local games.
I like the RIT group when it was raining. They were all under the tent singing along to
Brian Baum from Toys on the Side said he felt very welcome. No, my chat is failing.
What was that last one?
No, my chat started failing. Oh, the last one before that said the Toys on the Side, Brian Baum. He said that he felt very welcome. He was one of the vendors there, I believe, as well.
Awesome. We love Toys on the Side.
Indeed.
And Goop says, OMG King of Games. He's very happy that you're on screen right now.
Hey, the one, the only.
Welcome to the interweb.
I really appreciate you guys being able to chat with me. I mainly wanted, again, to support Maryland. I wanted to see I didn't get to spend the whole weekend with you guys. I got one day, which felt like I drove just as much as I spent there. Like it was like a 3-hour drive there, then 3 hours back. I was there about 6 hours or so, and I had to make a drive back. I couldn't hang out with you guys at dinner. Wife is calling me, what time are you coming home? And so, I needed this chat too, and I think the community needed to see a reflection of what happened, because I think, like I said, some of the people are probably kicking themselves for not going. So I thought I'd go ahead and shove it down their throats and let them know, yeah, you missed a good one, man.
That reminds me, it's time for the shameless plug. You know how it is. It's got to be.
Go ahead. Go for it.
I came into this weekend with the exact intention that you have with the stream, and that is to make people jealous and also inspire them to go out to these kinds of events and their local clubs. So before I even set out, I had already started kind of writing out the outline of a new series I'm going to do on my channel about traveling for Nerf.
Travel Nerf. I saw that. I saw you post about that.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing Traveling for Nerf. I have a ton of footage. I'm actually going to be stealing some of Dart Sweep's footage as well, commandeering, as you will, some footage to help get some of the B-roll and stuff. But it's going to be about the whole weekend and in its entirety, highlighting the positives, all the things. I got every vendor, on camera in a kind of first-person view to talk to me about what they brought and what's available and, some of those things. I didn't get as much footage of the tournament itself, but I did have kind of a play-by-play, kind of our reactions as different situations were unfolding, and stuff like that, kind of explaining how the tournament works. I'll obviously be doing a voiceover for some sections as it makes sense to do so, and basically just doing what I haven't really seen, which is kind of like a Nerf vlog style video. And this is not just a one-off video. It's going to be part of a series as I travel, and I do intend to travel to a lot of clubs over this next year, and a lot of events. I'm going to be making episodes about each one of those things. There's a couple ones that come to mind that I'm actually particularly excited to do. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and do some retroactive episodes after the first episode, which is about Maryland Mayhem, comes out. I'm going to retroactively go back and talk about my experiences at the NorCal clubs for Q3 of the Dart Zone Pro tournament and Foam Pro tournament. I'm going to talk about my experience in a separate episode about Q4 and leading up into the finals of the Dart Zone Pro tournament. I've also gotten a chance to travel to Northern California for a completely unrelated reason, to do some game testing for a competitive game mode where they hosted a double weekend. I'll do probably one episode about our own local tournament that we had at a double weekend in February, which Zelkos mentioned, for retroactive stuff. And then I'm looking forward to going to a club called Bucket. Dorian, he's kind of known,
I know
throughout
Dorian.
throughout the Discords for kind of being a very Saber construct hype man. They play extremely high FPS games. We're talking like 400 FPS games in the woods. So I'm super excited to try things that I don't have access to in my local area. He's been gracious enough to allow me to borrow one of these extremely expensive blasters while I'm there. It's just going to be fun to get a taste of and give a taste to everybody of what else is out there and what you could do at home or what you could go see if you don't have it near you.
You are the Energizer Bunny because like you're describing doing these things. You were in the competitive day. The vendors were there that same day. So like in between games, you're running around shooting video and me. Like you were the Energizer Bunny, definitely.
And I played several 1v1, 2v2, and other scrimmage
On the
matches
off
on the
field?
second field.
Yeah,
On the off field
I did a
throughout
little
the
bit,
day.
but I'm like, man, I worked the night before. No more Jade. I'm good. Jade wanted to keep playing
I look forward to
1v1s.
living. I look forward to vicariously living through you, Kale. In your
Right. Yeah. We're just getting older. But
Looks like Flying Chicken says come to SENC.
Flying Chicken's
I
good people.
Yeah, I met him. I met him at Foam Pro tournament. He seemed like a
I've
really
never
good
met
dude.
him, but I know a lot of people that vouched for him. So I mean,
Yeah.
and they're trusted people. So old school.
So
They
all
gotta
I
run
gotta
a
say,
game with hoppers and PVC hoppers. They're doing the old
yeah,
school
honestly,
Flying Chicken got
SDNC
all those awesome photos from Endor, right?
that I don't know. But what I do
Oh,
know
for some reason I thought.
is that he was a cool guy, and he does run in part or in whole the Blaster Barn, which is a pretty cool little.
Right, that too. Yep.
I remember catching some of his booth at FoamCon.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want me to come to SCNC, let's set it up.
Oh, I think you'd probably have a good time. Well,
I'm sure I would. It sounds fun to do the old school way.
any last questions or you guys got anything? I think maybe I might be time to wrap it up. But if anybody's got any questions, or if you guys have anything, I had a blast just hanging out with you guys for a little while. I think I have to go tuck the wife in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the marriage life, man. Yeah, she needs to be tucked in, man. And I have insomnia. I might play some games on my phone. I might actually finish a Nerf mod on the floor right next to me.
Yeah, I'd just like to say once again, thank you to everyone that was able to make it out to Maryland Mayhem weekend. Hope everyone had a blast. And yes, we are definitely looking forward to having and hosting another one for those that would like to participate next year.
Yeah. I'm psyched. I gotta make definite plans. I need my daughter to move her birthday if that's gonna happen again. She's just gonna have to come with. Eventually, her birthdays are gonna mean less.
I'm looking through the comments here just real quick.
Yeah.
We're looking through the comments real here. There's a few final things. Brian said plug feedback form for UMBC. We've got another comment here. It says, I second Dart Sweep's sentiments on living vicariously through Kale's vlogs. We've got Flying Chicken saying thanks for answering all of the questions. Out of Darts, it looks like Perry from Out of Darts says amazing photos at Endwar for Flying Chicken. They did use a couple of those photos in the recap blog post. Also, how awesome is it that Out of Darts has a blog still, you know, for that kind of stuff? I love all these alternative media forms. Oh, did it freeze?
No, I still hear you.
Oh, okay, cool. For a second, you guys were so incredibly
sorry.
still.
I was writing.
You spaced.
I was writing little commentaries. Some people are joining late, and I'm like, sorry, it's been a couple hours, and plus, I think we covered a lot.
Has
about
it
the
been? Oh
event.
my goodness.
Well,
Time flies.
yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
it has.
It doesn't take much, but I'm on a like that wife timer. I know it's like she will start. I love it when she starts calling me. Sometimes I'm using my phone for the stream, and then she starts calling me video chat, and I'm like, we're streaming right now.
She's
But
like,
anyways,
not anymore, you're not.
she doesn't give a shit. She does
Yeah.
not give a shit, fellas. She
So,
loves me, but she
so
doesn't love this.
just to plug the feedback form, I think the feedback
Yes.
form is available on the Maryland Mayhem Facebook page. It should be floating around Discord, including the UMBC's Discord and the Maryland Foam Alliance Discord. So if you haven't joined those, feel free to join those. Also, we did provide a feedback form for the Maryland Foam Alliance portion, so for the tournament and the 11th hour as well. So if you get a chance, fill those out. Please be gentle. Again, it was our first time, and we are definitely taking into consideration all the comments that we've received, which for the most part have been pretty positive. So thank you.
Well, thanks again, guys. And I'm hoping that I can see Kale again sometime, make it from the West Coast. I don't know if I'll ever make it out to the West Coast. That would be a wife question.
Ragnarok Oktoberfest is coming up.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near me, but I will be going. So
yeah. Fortunately, I also, you get torn to where like I need to try to work on things locally here too, to where like if I go out to all these events, I'm not doing anything here locally. So I run into that dilemma. I really don't want to be running a club, but in the same sense, I want something built here. So I'm kind of, I have some of the resources to do it. I've got some like-minded people that live near me, so we all want to see it survive. We want it to happen. So hopefully we'll have something come to fruition. And again, I'm so happy Maryland's got it all together. We're a little bit jealous, just a little bit, but if I really, if I really need it, I'd make the 2-hour drive and come see you guys. And I do need to come see you again one time for a regular Maryland event, one of them soon. I hope soon. I do have one on May 13th here. Again, I get it. If you guys have to have your break weekends, but we do have a small one scheduled here on May 13th. I'm gonna see if I can get Al to come down if he's free, because he doesn't live too far away. Because I know for you, it's a little bit of, I think it's a little longer drive for you, and definitely some of the other Maryland guys, it'd be way too long of a drive until I get something.
We'd be happy to visit you.
Yeah, but I don't have cool talking buckets and big inflatables. So the attraction
we make our own fun. You don't need buckets to have fun.
That's true. Oh, our first event, I don't know if I told you, it rained, the field was flooded, and we made this tiny offset field like off to the side. My other admins didn't even want to bring out their cover, and we just kind of played in the mud, and it was fun though. Really was appreciated that they were willing to play in like the poorest conditions possible. So I'm like, we have a future. These guys will play in this shit. Oh, the next event has got to be better. It's like automatic. So I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully no Karens at the park. been good luck so far. So
Fingers crossed for you.
yeah, well, they have like, man, those guys have like it's kind of a bougie park. There's like people have and the little kids are on bike ramps, like it looks almost like X Games type ramps. I don't know if there's a skateboard park in there or not. I don't think there is, but it's probably a mixed bag. I'm hoping for it's more the other way than again the people that are all uptight. I mean, they got to be used to children being around because it being a park, there's a playground and kids are running around and stuff. Just do they think we are
I
firing
would
weapons
like
at
to
each
do
other?
just another quick plug, if possible. Just quickly again, Kale is, a plug for Ragnarok, which is in October. I know
Yeah.
Kale is planning to go, and Boomstick Mods is planning to go. So
Who's
I'm
going?
still
Oh,
debating
exciting.
myself. And then I also want to plug, if you guys are interested in playing with the Uno guys, the New Jersey and New York and Connecticut guys over at Uno. Definitely check out their katas and their small events, but more specifically, check out APOC.
Are they doing
which
APOC
is played
again?
at
I mean, I
Cousins
assume they
Paintball
are.
Field. Oh, I hope so. Yeah, they better be. But yeah, I'll definitely be at APOC, which is the first weekend of August, I believe. So that usually has a pretty good turnout. It's 300 FPS all day long, and it's played on a paintball field. And it's one of those events I really look forward to. So if you guys get a chance, definitely hit those guys up, and I'll see you guys there.
Yeah. Well, if I can bum, I'll see. But maybe if I can bum a room off Jason, then maybe I can squeeze out a plane ticket between now and Ragnar Oktoberfest for APOC. I'm trying to cover all the events, but you know what? Money is a finite source.
Yeah. Just hop on a boxcar or map out a train route.
Yeah, with things that
I can see
slightly
you
look like
throwing a
guns.
big duffel bag. It'd have to be you, probably several duffel bags of blasters.
I only brought 3 with me for the whole weekend. I brought the
wow.
SBL, the Val M, and that the Super Duper Spam.
Oh, you're better than me. I go to a Maryland event and Andrew see me. He's like, "How many players did you bring?" Oh, it's just me. Andrew doesn't have room to talk either. Though was his spread.
Mine's just for show, though. One day I'll actually get a chance to use them.
Yeah. I don't see how you can put you just close your eyes and blind pick one.
Yeah.
So many to choose from. But
Cool.
thanks to guys again, guys. I think it's a good time to sign off, and hopefully I will see you guys in the future soon. And thanks again for being part of the stream. And I'm just happy to support. And I don't know. I'll see you guys next time. Signing out, guys.
Sounds good.
Dart sweep.
Dart sweep. Kill the games. See you guys.
Have a good one.
See you, man.
You too. Have a blast.
Yeah, I have a blast. I like the puns. Let's see if I can freaking know how to end the stream.
Yeah, old man's got to figure out how technology works here.
All right, good night,
I
guys.
found it. All right, interweb, late.
Nerf on. See ya.